Welcome back to the show. Tough times never last, but tough people do. I'm Michael Kuzilny. I'm sitting here with one of the tougher cops of the Victoria Police. More than 20 years in the Victoria Police Force, joined in 1986. I remember young Beanie as a young fella running around the academy, going to the gym and chatting up all the local girls there. But it's been certainly an interesting journey, being shot at and catching a lot of crooks around the state. But what I always admired about you, Beanie, is that very non-judgmental. You know, it's easy to sort of say you're bad and we're good, that old brotherhood syndrome. But as my mate Henry Nissen says over there, we're all babies one time and we take different journeys and end up mucking up. Now that's your attitude too, because you've got a lot of mates who've been in strife even.
Of course. Look, I've always had the attitude, Mick, that if people commit crime and against the state, there's always a reason for it. Everyone's, as you just said, mate, everyone's got a journey, and I think that the way to become a successful police officer or a successful person generally is to find out what's going on behind the action.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, and I don't mean be soft on them. Look, if someone's committed an armed robbery or a murder, I'm still going to have to lock you up. But let's get you the help that you need so that you don't do it again.
Yeah. And
that's how I've always approached it. And I think because of that attitude and not boxing people up, as you just said, you know, oh, he's an armed robber, he's a murderer, he's this, he's that.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own story and they're individual. And I've always approached my job in that way, always.
Yeah, well, everyone's got a story
not just my job, my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And tell me about the dangerous times. You've had some dangerous situations, especially doing raids, early morning raids for armed robberies. Yeah,
look, unfortunately, some criminals haven't got the same attitude that I have, Mick, and the bottom line is, mate, you know, when you're dealing with high-end armed robbers, they tend to carry guns and powerful weapons, etc., etc. So, look, I remember one particular job where we did a raid on a farmhouse, and the young, well, he was a middle-aged guy, was woken up by a team from the armed robbery squad, and he had a loaded shotgun there and a few firearms, and we just managed to scoop him up before he got his hands on it. But
yeah,
you know, mate, before I got to the armed robbery squad, there was a number of the guys there that got shot. Mark Wiley comes to mind. He was shot through the stomach and survived. I think it's probably like driving down Victoria Street these days. It's a raffle which lane you go in. Is there any Volvos there in front of you? If there is, avoid them.
Yes.
Same sort of thing.
And viewers, even though you see this tough bloke telling about all the armed robberies he's caught over the years, a lot of people are going through some tough times, depression, stress. God bless you, and I hope you're having... you're getting through all those tough times. But Beanie rang me, you know, last year, and he said, I'm going through a tough issue myself. So he's a gentle giant, and you did go through a lot of stress there after your different jobs. Tell me, where did the stress start? And I think you suffered from, what is it called, post-traumatic stress?
Post-traumatic stress disorder,
yeah.
Basically, same as depression. It's an illness that I didn't understand, Mick. I had finished at Lorimer. It was a 5-year job. I spent, you know, pretty much 12 months at court convicting the two criminals, Debs and Roberts. I was then promoted to Carlton, and I was there for about 3 years. Now, I worked hard at Carlton as a sergeant, and I'd worked hard all my career. I think I started to display symptoms there of I just didn't want to go to work anymore. I couldn't explain it. I had no feelings. There was fog, darkness, and I had no passion in life anymore. I had a personal situation too with two young children that didn't help. But I eventually sought help and saw many psychologists who were no good. I just couldn't get any straight answers. Finally, I met one through a reference from Tommy Sawyer, a good mate of yours and mine, and he directed me to a psychologist, and she basically explained it. She said, Steve, you've got a very big bucket, but over the years you've been, it's nearly full. In fact, it is full now, and so I want you to go down to Bunnings. I want you to buy a very sharp screwdriver, and we've got to start putting a hole in this bucket and letting the water out. And the way she explained it was spot on. I was a mess at that point in my life, and probably didn't want to be here anymore. Had made that decision, I couldn't see a way out. And I think when you've got an illness such as that, and I'd never had it before, wouldn't have understood it unless I did have it.
And it's beautiful, Beanie, how you can share all that, because a lot of people, a psychologist friend of mine once said, we're all broken, we've all got some sort of an insecurity or some sort of a fear. And the people who think they're perfect, they're the ones who usually have mental breakdowns. But we're all broken, we all, there's a civil war going in most of us. But it's good how you got help, because there's so many people who go through life and they're so depressed inside and not enjoying every day. And you actually went to get some help, which is a wonderful thing.
Well, if I didn't get the help, I don't think I'd be sitting here today, Mick. It's as simple as that. And it's quite a common illness, as I've learned now, from returned soldiers who've been operating at a very high level of stress and adrenaline through their bodies over many years, as I was at Lorimer and prior. And when you come back to normal life, as I did as a sergeant at Carlton, for example, away from that high-level inquiry, the adrenaline stops flowing, your body stops producing it, and it's a physical reaction. Your brain's saying, I want more of that, and it's not being produced. Yeah. And that's all part of the physical symptoms. And then there's the mental side of it as well. Yeah. And combined, it makes a terrible mix of, in my case, PTSD/depression.
Yes, and viewers, isn't it amazing when everything's hunky-dory, when we're happy and positive, we've got plenty of money in our pocket and everything's sweet, you have all these people hanging on and everybody wants to be friends, but when we're going through a tough time, it's amazing how many people just wipe their hands and take off and don't contact you anymore. Last week we spoke to Dan, who used to be a high-profile defence lawyer. He had a serious accident and suffered from some brain injuries, and all of a sudden all his mates disappeared because he lost all his money and lost the Porsche. So the learning lesson is really to be a lot more non-judgmental and just be a lot more love-orientated and help people when they're going through a tough time. Help people when they're going through depression or bipolar, even for their close friends of yours. Don't wipe your hands, because if it happened to you, you'd want somebody to be there and not criticise you. That's so true, Beanie, isn't it?
Well, the thing is with this, Mick, it can happen to anybody at any time. You don't have to necessarily go through a bad patch in your life. You may well be flying along, as that guy Dan was, prior to his accident. Now, let's say he didn't have his accident. It's not to say that he wouldn't get this illness. Mental illness can happen to anybody at any time, regardless of your status, your money, your mental state of mind. Clinical depression, which I didn't have, is common. And it's very misunderstood in society. Yeah. I'm sure
we might talk about all that after the next break, but what an interesting interview. Tough times never last. We'll talk to you very shortly.